My dear friends and viewers, I welcome you all to my YouTube channel Phoenix English. This is Mr. Vihar Nisargandh. Today, friends, I have prepared this video to throw light upon one of the famous poem of Rabindranath Tagore. The title of the poem is The Banyan Tree. Students and friends, before going towards the poem, let's have a short look on the biographical sketch of Rabindranath Tagore. Actually, it is very difficult to introduce such a versatile personality in a short time. So, just we will throw light some biographical sketches of Rabindranath Tagore. So here, students and my friends, we see Rabindranath Tagore was born on 7th of May 1861 and he died on 7th of August 1941. So almost 80 years Rabindranath Tagore enjoyed drama, language, literature, music, painting, and as a critic also his life was noteworthy. Students, earlier in his life, Rabindranath Tagore was identified with his pen name as Bhanu Singh Thakur. So he was a versatile person, internationally recognized and identified critic and poet and dramatist. So not only this, but he was also Ayurveda researcher, and he was the first non-European to win Nobel Prize for Literature. Friends, his Nobel Prize he received for his one of the famous collection Gitanjali. Actually, Gitanjali was published in 1910. It was written in his mother tongue in Bengali language, but later it has translated in English and many other languages of our country and the world. In 1913, he received Nobel Prize for that collection. His another famous volume is The Crescent Moon. The Crescent Moon is most famous volume which contains 40 poems, and Tagore himself translated these poems from Bengali into English. It contains 40 poems, and this poem which we are going to see now, the title of the poem is The Banyan Tree, is from this collection, The Crescent Moon. In his lifetime, Rabindranath Tagore established Vishwabharati University in West Bengal, in Shantiniketan in 1921. His contribution for Bengali literature and overall in Indian English literature is of noteworthy. He was a humanitarian and a great humanist and a strict disciplinarian. So his contribution is beyond comparison and noteworthy. He was a versatile person. The most striking thing that I would like to mention here, dear friends, is he has written national anthems of Bangladesh and of our country India, that we sing it every day, Jana Gana Mana, and the national anthem of Bangladesh was written in Bengali earlier, called Amar Sonar Bangla, and later it translated. So here that he composed in 1905, and from 1971 it has regarded as the national anthem of Bangladesh, and he is known as the Bard of Bengal. The Bard of Bengal. So it is a very short biographical sketch that we have taken a look. Now see the poem The Banyan Tree. See now, The Banyan Tree is a poem which is taken from The Crescent Moon. Actually, The Crescent Moon contains 40 poems, and this collection was published in 1913 and later we find translated in English. So here Tagore himself translated this collection, At the right side, right hand corner, you will find at the top the cover page of that collection, the crescent moon, and just below that image you see the image of the banyan tree, which is the title of our today's poem, The Banyan Tree. Now the crescent moon is completely filled with nature imagery, and it contains the love relationship between mother and child and its development as the child grows. So here in the verses of crescent moon we find completely nature is there, natural aspects are there. When we study the poem, so we will see what are those aspects of nature in the poem. So friends, you also know the banyan tree is the national symbol of our national tree of the Republic of India. And students, the banyan tree here at the beginning we find, when we look at the title of the poem, so it seems that the poem is about a tree. Some may think it is a poem about nature, and some may think about the title, when they try to look at the title, so they may think about the poem is about arousing environmental consciousness. So these are the things which in the beginning, when we just have a look at the title, so we may think. But when we go through the poem, when we see the whole analysis of the poem, so at the end we think, or we may come across with the poem's content, that at the end we say it is a symbol of memories of the childhood. The poem is a safe haven to the creatures of nature. And one more thing which is striking at that, the banyan tree is a state of quiet solitude. So in the beginning we find different things, and when we go through the poem, when we analyze the poem, so at the end we come to the conclusion that it is a quiet solitude, it is a symbol of memory, and it is a very heaven to the creatures of nature. So students, when we see in the poem what are the themes, so themes are here. The poem is composed to some extent to appreciate the nature, to arouse the environmental consciousness and a place of solitude, and for anybody it may be the inspiration for our own behavior. See now the natural images, as already in the earlier slide I had mentioned that the crescent moon is completely filled with nature imagery in order to support the love relationship with son's love relationship with his mother as the childhood grows up. So here nature, pond, sunlight, water, wind, and many other images are there in the present poem. Now see students, the first stanza of the poem that here we are going to see. Oh, you shaggy-headed banyan tree, standing on the bank of the pond, have you forgotten the little child? Like the birds that have nested in your branches and left you. So see, in the first stanza you find the poet, the speaker is asking a question. He is asking a question to the banyan tree. Now what is the question? See, oh shaggy-headed banyan tree. See now, shaggy-headed means very thick and curly. Thick and curly. Banyan tree standing on the bank of the pond. Standing on the bank of the pond. Have you forgotten the little child? So here students, we find the poem is full of pretty images. Full of pretty images. And it is for all of us very nice to think of the birds that have nested in the shaggy hair of the banyan tree. And now at the present moment we find it seems that these children have left that tree. So come to think of it, the banyan tree has lost count of the birds. Means like birds, in their childhood, children used to come to the banyan tree. They used to sit on the branches. They used to play. They used to enjoy their life around the nature, around the pond, and around that tree. So here, students, we find the banyan tree, it seems, has forgotten all of them standing on the bank of the pond. But surely, students, it cannot forget the little child. Why? Because the little child used to sit at the window who admired her tangled roots, and plunged underground, jumped from the high window. Surely not the women who would fill their jars in the pond. So in the next verse we find the speaker again asks to the banyan tree whether he forgets the women who used to come to fill their jar for water. And in the next part we find when we go through the first and second stanzas, so we find the tone of the poem is soulful. The tone of the poem is solemn and ponderous because it reflects the quiet state of nature. So here actually, friends, a speaker is asking the tree if he remembers a child that used to rest on its branches but has now left. He then asks if the tree remembers the women coming near to fill their jars with water, the sunlight dancing on the water, and the animals playing as the child would sit and think. The child wanted to play now on the branches of the banyan tree and be a part of the nature and wildlife of the area. So students, here we find a speaker is going to ask questions one after the other to that banyan tree. And students, we know also banyan tree, it has a very great significance in our Indian culture and our civilization. For Indians, as we know, it is a tree, it is a great symbolism of purity, calmness and peace. And even in this poem you can find a serene nature that is executed well and most of the early childhoods before the advent of postmodern era. So here, students, we find a child that used to rest on its branches but has now left. And so the speaker asks the questions, women, sunlight, animals playing as the child. So here we find that child now wanted to become a part of wildlife and wanted to become a part of nature. So student, with this much, at the end I would like to say here, students, there are still countless ponds in the nature and countless banyans on their banks of the different ponds where time stands still in the Bengal of Tagore. But the child is missing from the window. He is now playing video games in a hole of an apartment in Kolkata. So there is nobody to come to that banyan tree. So children are slowly moving away from such pure and soulful trees where they should have spent some of their childhood. So students, I hope, friends, I hope you might have got the gist of the poem. So here with this I come to my concluding part. Thank you, students. As outside, the atmosphere is tense due to COVID-19. So I request my all viewers, stay home, stay healthy and save your life. So with this much, thank you once again, and we will meet in next video. Thank you.